Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, and my friends, as you are probably very well aware, Guilty Gear Strive is getting the Season 2 update pretty soon, June the 10th, and things are going to change, and hopefully a pretty major way. And that also means certain characters are probably going to get nerfed. Now, who exactly is going to get nerfed, we don't know for sure, but certain characters are definitely better than others, right? There's also certain characters that, aren't as good as others. Certain people could use a helping hand. Maybe some people that don't necessarily need a helping hand, but I want to see them get buffed anyways. But this video is talking about the nerfs. So, as of the time of this recording, Combo Breaker is going on, and it's one of the last stops before the patch happens. So if you want to see Ramlethal do her thing and just go berserk, might be the last chance. So Combo Breaker is one of the last stops before the big patch, but it's not the last one because we do have at least one more, and that is today's sponsor, Dreamhack. Yes, that's right. Dreamhack is back and fighting games are back. So Dreamhack Dallas is happening June 3rd through the 5th, and yes, we got games like Guilty Gear Strive, the King of Fighters 15, games we're big fans of here on this channel, and other games like Smash Bros and more. And yeah, so as the world is healing, we're finally having more, tournaments happening. So Dreamhack Dallas is a great stop and over $20,000 in prizes. And if you use the QR code provided here, you'll get achievements towards free festival passes for upcoming Dreamhack events. So hey, that's great. So that all said here, now let's get into the meat of the video. Characters that need to be nerfed, toned down, normalized, whatever lingo you want to use. They probably are not coming out of this patch stronger than they were before. And the first person we got to put the magnifying glass on has to be Happy Chaos. So Happy Chaos has definitely been making waves for the last little while. He is harder to use than a lot of the other top tiers, right? Certainly a damn sight harder to use than Ramlethal, and we'll talk about her later. But the thing is here, regardless of whether or not he's easy to use, if the masses can pick him up or not, he's still super mega top tier, right? And more of an issue than that is he's a total pain to fight. You generally don't have good feels when you're fighting against Happy Chaos. Say a Soul bad guy. Yeah, everyone knows Soul's pretty good, right? Maybe Soul isn't as dominant now as he was back towards the beginning of the game, but Soul's fun to fight, right? Happy Chaos, the problem here, a lot of it lies with the fact that I don't know who coined the term, and forgive me because it's a great term, but when you're playing against Happy Chaos, it's basically green light, red light. You're just terrified to know when you can actually do something. So yeah, when he has the gun up, normally, there's accuracy issues, right? Like, he might not get you right away, especially like if you're running. But the problem is, realistically, that's almost never the case, because any stray hit, any hit confirm leads to curse. And as soon as curse is up, like all the whole movement trying to defeat the auto aim, that is not happening anymore in a realistic fashion. So then, you're hunkered down, you gotta wait him out, and then it becomes red light, green light. What am I gonna do next? We gotta wait him out. And of course, waiting him out, it's not always the best thing, because it's trivial for him to get his bullets back, because reload canceling. If you are at any kind of way passive, he'll just do his little stance buff here where his concentration meter barely goes down. And if he has that up, well then, oh my lord, you are just in for the blender. Like, he will just keep you locked down forever. And that's mid-screen. So a lot of the crux before we add all sorts of layers and all sorts of things and gimmicks, and if he has various buffs up, is this. If he hits you a guard crush shot, and he can do guard crush shot into bullet cancel, right? As you can see here, Jacko's jumping. So all things said, all things done, in the end, as you can see here, Happy Chaos got a shot off. He reloaded the bullet, so he's neutral on the as far as that goes, right? And he's still very positive. He jumped way before Jacko did, meaning it's his turn first. So say same situation here, except she's going to try to attack out. So right there, I beat her out, and I beat her out with her doing crouch jab with crouch slash, right? Like, that's how plus I am. To the point, actually, I can be so plus that you can't even hit a button. So the character that has very strong zoning, very strong keep away, full combos from full screen, also has some of the most insane pressure in the corner. Like say someone like a Gold Lewis. Gold Lewis gets plus frames in the corner. Soul gets plus frames in the corner. But these are characters that gotta earn their way in. They don't just gotta, you know, party from full screen and see how it goes, right? Not the least of which is once he starts snowballing, like it's legit difficult to deal with because like he'll get his hits in, he'll get his buffs up, like it's hard. So what's the answer here? What's a fair way to tone him down a little bit? Now I've thought about this for a while because he's a complex character, right? Like he's not an easy top tier. You got to put your time in and your effort in to be good with Happy Chaos. To be complained about with Happy Chaos means you put in the time and effort. So since he's so complex, like any sledgehammer nerf could just destroy the character. So what are some of the issues, right? And I think one of the big ones is simply this. When you cancel and do your bullet here, I think since so much of his offense is based off that, be it either like, you know, just mid-screen zoning, canceling out, all that kind of stuff, or pressure in the corner where you're so plus they can't even hit a button. And depending on how you have your buff stacked and all that, it could be a forever long situation before they can actually get out. I think reload, specifically just the singleton reload, single bullet, that should be some frames like slower than it currently is. Like I'm not gonna say a ton, right? Don't burn and kill the utility of it, but a nerf on that specific angle of it will affect the rest of his game plan, and it'll still make his game plan effective. Like, you know, if you get the debuff up here, like shot still happens, like, you know, pretty much instantly, like all that kind of stuff. Concentration buff, still concentration buff, but a lot of his pressure is predicated on the singleton reload of canceling out the gunshot. So if you make that just a little bit slower, I think a lot more about the character becomes a lot more tolerable. Now there's other aspects. Perhaps the damage on heavy gunshot could be toned down just a couple points, right? Because he does get a lot off it. Especially because every time you get hit by a heavy gunshot, well, like everything just kind of resets, right? Like he gets his buffs up, concentration, super, or just the regular one if you don't have the super meter. Like regardless, he just gets the world off it, right? So singleton gunshot nerf, a little bit damage on the heavy gunshot, and then he's still a highly skill-based character. He still does pretty much everything he does already. That's good. Just it's not quite as effective as it used to be. I think that's fair. Let me know what you think. Now, moving on. So now someone like Ramlethal, we just talked Happy Chaos and how, like, yeah, he's a top tier, but like you gotta earn his top tier status. He's difficult to play, legitimately. Like, you gotta put your time in. Ramlethal, yeah, maybe not as much, right? Like, Ram's pretty easy to figure out. Now, whether or not a character is easy or hard, if they're top tier, they're top tier. If they need buffs or nerfs or whatever, that shouldn't affect things, right? But Ramlethal is just a good deal easier. So here's the thing, right? Happy Chaos, there's a specific things you can point to why he's so strong. Ramlethal just is good at everything. Like, that is the problem, is when you're kind of above average in every single category, what's the thing you can do to tone someone down? Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think she should be crippled, but, you know, she has, like, one of the best 6Ps in the game. It's really, really good. Easy baby plus frames in the corner, right? Like, here we go, time for easy plus frames, and then the explosion, and are you going to try to do something, aren't you? And are you going to get boned and screwed over by it? Like, it's so easy for Ramlethal just to put you in the blender. Like here, Jacko, she's set to jump after she blocks, right? Okay, and she gets past the explosion. But, same situation, someone like Old Lewis, jump? Nope, he still has to block the explosion. His only way out is to super jump, right? So certain characters are just disproportionately affected by this easy bake pressure with the sword tosses. So she's a character with great pressure, amazing neutral, corner carry, strong combos, like everything is good. So how do you bring down a character that's kind of good at everything? Either you pick one aspect and cripple it, or you just kind of bring them down just a little bit across the board. And I think that's exactly what's fair. So the terror of the sword toss in the corner, right? And yes, the high sword toss is more plus, but normal characters don't have to worry about that. Only the tall characters. So it's currently +3 on block, right? How about +2? And maybe the explosion happens a frame or two later, right? So just if you block it, just the situation where she deals with you or not is just expanded, right? You just have a little bit more room to breathe. You're still in a bad position, you know, she's still plus in your face, and there's still an explosion coming, but if you just make it just 1 frame less plus and just delay the explosion just a little bit, the situation, while still immensely unfavorable for the defender, becomes a little bit more breathable. Stuff like Stand S. Her Stand S is like, you know, best in class. 11 frame startup currently. How about 12 frame startup? A lot of other characters with longer range pokes, 12 frames is kind of the baseline, right? So on top of having even more range than those characters get and a disjointed hitbox, hers is faster too. You know, this is one of those things where like something's gotta give, right? So it being 12 frames, more normalized with the rest of the cast with how a long range poke generally is, I think that's fair. And it's not like it won't be a like incredibly stupid and ignorant button, right? Just got 1 more frame chance to do something about it. And finally, so just a tiny nerf to a pressure, a tiny nerf to the neutral, and then one of the things is her incredible corner carry or incredible damage. So I think if you get hit by a sword in a combo, be it the sword itself or the follow-up explosion, maybe that should introduce just a little bit more damage scaling. Not a lot, right? But she gets so much off everything, right? So, okay, if we got hit by the stray thing, here we go, and then we do the combo. Just scales a little bit, maybe you do just a few points less damage. The thing is, when the character's great with everything, just bring the everything down just a little bit. You still want the character to be usable, right? We don't want situations where, well, if Ramlethal gets any nerf at all, everyone will drop Ramlethal anyways. That's how fighting games work, right? But the real players, you don't want them to drop the character just because of a few small nerfs. You want to keep the character strong, and that's an idea I have at the very least. The thing is, like, there's a million ways you can look at it and just like, okay, let's cripple the character. That's bad game design. You don't want to cripple the character, but you do want to tone them down just a little bit. Now, Nagoriyuki. So Nagoriyuki, over the life of Guilty Gear Strive's had an incredible arc, right? So on paper, with no emotions, you know, I guess he was always good, right? But at the beginning of the game's life, we didn't know that. Like, he was weird and hard. Like, his mechanic, we didn't understand it so good. The blood gauge, and like, everyone would go berserk and lose right away. Like, then we started figuring him out, and then things got a lot easier, right? And now it turns out, oh, he's pretty good. And then he got buffed on top of that, right? So he's a very comfortable top tier. Once you understand the mechanic, the old boy, he's doing good. So what can we do to help rein him in a little bit while still keeping him viable, right? And here's the big thing. Originally, I'm like, screw it, Beyblade, make it negative. But people would riot, right? You can't do that. You can't do that. This move is not only safe on block, it is neutral on block, meaning your turn's not over, right? So you get to keep going crazy. And if you take that away from them, a lot of people just drop the character. So here's my thing. The thing about Beyblade is it's so zero commitment. Like, you just do it, and if it works, it works, and if not, there's no penalty, right? Like, so 2 things about it I would like to see changed that I think are very fair. One, just the range. Like, it hits from too far away. Like, we talk about moves that skip neutral. Like, you want, oh, I'm an honest neutral player, this, that, and the other, right? No, man, like, come on. Like, look how far away this crap hits from. So I would say reduce the range by, like, 20-25%. So you can still do it from, like, here, but you can't do it from here. I think that's very fair. Now, the other thing, this is more important, for people who just want to spam Beyblade all day long, put more recovery on the move. As it stands, this move has, like, no recovery. Like, look at this. See how fast he jumps after he whiffs? So I would say there's a bit of a lag time. Now, you don't change the frame data on block or on hit, right? So if you get blocked, you're still neutral on block. If you get hit, still knockdown, this, that, and the other. But this, combined with the fact you have to do it from a little bit closer, it can, like, you know, help incentivize trying to not be there. You're either backdashing it or jumping it or whatever. Just add a bit of recovery time to the move. Because as it stands, like, if it whiffs, there's no realistic option for you to punish it. It's not happening. But if you add some recovery, there's at least some counterplay to the move. As it currently stands, there's no such thing as counterplay to the spin, to the Beyblade. It just happens. Like, it's just a hammer. You just swing. Like, there's no thought involved. So adding just a little bit of a range penalty to it, so you got to do it a little bit closer. And there's actually some sort of, like, whiff lag. Like, if you don't connect, you might actually be in trouble. Those 2 things alone, I think, will help tone down Nagoriyuki to a fair amount. Now, he'll still be very strong, he'll still be very, well, potentially top tier, but that's one of the most ignorant moves in the game. Like, I said it months and months and months ago, I thought it was the best move in the game, and I still stand by that now, right? It's crazy, and it can tone down a little bit, and it'll still be one of the best moves in the game. As for the rest of the kit, I think that's one of the big things, right? I wouldn't mind seeing the big buff that he got, the insane amount of blood drain he got from //. Because, like, if you manage to get it, like, in a combo, or just, you know, you poke a neutral and hit confirm into it or whatever, like, the amount of blood given back to you is just insane. So, I would say just tone that down just a little bit. Not a lot, not a lot. Like, you keep most of what the buff gave you, but just tone it down just a smidge. Blood management should be, well, management, right? Like, if you want to get rid of your blood gauge quick, you should be fishing for the grab, right? So, that already exists. So, toning down some of the other options, I think just a little bit of the blood drain on that, just tone it down, I think it's fair. Besides that, once again, I don't want this character to be unplayable. I would still prefer them to be strong. I think those are a couple changes that are just eminently fair, especially the spin, because it's so stupid. It's so stupid. So those are some of my ideas on how to change some of these top tier characters, make them a bit worse, but still keep them fair and fun. You know, you don't want to cripple the characters. You don't want everyone playing Ramlethal one day and then everyone drops her for the new top tier. And granted, that'll happen to a degree anyways, because fighting game players are very fickle. But, you know, you want to minimize that as much as you can, right? So those are some ideas I have. I would love to hear some of the ideas you guys have. So please post those in the comments below. Who do you think is deserving of just a little bit of a nerf? And no, Angie, Faust, they're definitely getting buffed, at least hopefully. Anyways, we'll see, right? But some characters, like the ones mentioned, maybe some other ones too, like maybe Leo, can use just a little bit of a toning down. So those are my ideas. I would love to hear yours. That all said, we're at the end of the video, so thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Guilty Gear.